At the beginning of the year, Sitecore released their new product focused on automation and connectivity. And what does it mean to us? My name is Szymon. I'm a senior Sitecore developer at Actum Digital and at Sitecore Technology MVP. And today, I'd like to tell you about Sitecore Connect. So I'm going to begin with saying a few words what Sitecore Connect actually is. And then during the demo, I'll show you how does it work, what are its key concepts, and finally share some final thoughts and observations. So maybe who does know what Sitecore Connect actually is, or how does it work? Are there any? Okay, someone. Okay, cool. Let's see. As you probably know, Sitecore started expanding their portfolio of products with small and cloud-based products with atomic functionalities that you can mix and match to compose your perfect solution, your perfect architecture, hence the composable architecture. Now, this architecture doesn't necessarily have to consist only of Sitecore products. In fact, others are very welcome. And this creates some interesting opportunities to us because someone has to integrate all those systems together. However, this is a huge expense for the business because the integration takes time and costs, and Sitecore understands that. So that's why they introduced Sitecore Connect. Sitecore Connect is an automation platform, no-code or low-code automation platform that helps, that allows to map processes and workflows between third-party applications and Sitecore. Unlike other cloud-based products, Sitecore Connect wasn't acquired, or it's not a Sitecore product. It's a result of cooperation between Sitecore and Workato, and Workato simply provides such automation platform for general purpose. So that might create an obvious question. Why would we use Sitecore Connect instead Workato or Zapier or any other tool? So first obvious difference is that Sitecore logo, which it's not just a fancy picture, because that's just, if you're considering Sitecore Connect, you probably already have some Sitecore products. So you might want to be interested as a company in narrowing number of vendors that you rely on, because when using Sitecore Connect, you will be dealing with Sitecore. That also might give you some better position when negotiating contract details. But that's not it, at least not only. Sitecore Connect already has integrations with majority of the Sitecore cloud-based products. So XM Cloud, with Send, with Order Cloud. And what is more important, those connections with Sitecore Connect, they come for free. So there's a little bit complicated pricing model, which we'll get to when I will be showing you Sitecore Connect. There's a caveat or a hook that apparently there are mandatory integrations with Sitecore in new recipes. However, I tried that and I was able to create a recipe or a process without Sitecore connection in Connect. So I'm not sure how this is executed, but it's not enforced. Okay, let me show you how actually Sitecore Connect works. It's a cloud-based product, so basically you access it through the browser, and the first thing you're gonna notice is a dashboard when you can see the history of your executions, which allows you to monitor how your processes behave. Sorry. New stuff, so community owned. Okay, so as you can see, I was playing with my recipes. They were behaving pretty good, but if you look at past 30 days when I was actually investigating Connect and setting up all the demos, I can see that there are a bunch of failed jobs. You can, of course, filter this by project or by recipe, but the thing that you might be interested in particular is the number of, no, it won't work, is the number of tasks being used, because in Sitecore Connect, you are being charged by consumption. And for each active connection that you are using, you will be granted 3 million tasks per year. So if you have one connection, then you will be granted 3 million tasks per year, plus connection with Sitecore, which is free, will give you additional 3 million tasks. So for every active connection, you get this pool of tasks, and here you can monitor them. If you exceed the number of available tasks, then you will need to pay for another level of service. Apart from that, there's a dependency graph which shows you which connections you are using, and audit which acts as a log. So I already mentioned recipes. Recipe is the project is the workflow that maps the connection between systems, and it may contain some basic logic. So I will create a simple project for the demo, and I'll start with creating simple recipe. I'll name it create new product. So I'm going to map a process which takes a file uploaded to Google Drive and creates a product in Content Hub. Very simple one. What you can see is there are various triggers that are available. So trigger from an app will listen to some events in a given app, in my case in Google Drive, but you can also run it on a schedule. You can also build some reusable recipe that can be used in different recipes that will be called recipe function, or you can even integrate it with Slackbot. So for now, I'll start with triggering from an application. So for the trigger, I need to select the application that I want to use. It already shows me Google Drive because I have the active connection ready, but I can select whatever app is available from, and the apps can be also created. Now, what is interesting, as an input, there is not really there is not really much Sitecore applications, because we can trigger only from Order Cloud and Send. They can be used, more Sitecore applications can be used as actions. So I'll continue with Google Drive, and then I need to select an event that will trigger my application. In my case, that will be new file or folder. So to create a new connection, I would simply log in with Google. So I need to be signed into my Google account, or I need to sign in and select one of the active connections. I already have one set up, and then I will simply need to point to a folder that should be watched. I can select the time from when the trigger should start working. By default, it's 1 hour prior to setting up. So if there are any files uploaded 1 hour before, they will be picked up and processed. And I can set up trigger conditions based on the data from Google. So for example, just files that starts with certain name or created by a certain person. If I want to further restrict when the trigger is fired. And this is important because of how the tasks are being counted. So Workato doesn't count triggers as a task, so they will not remove tasks from the available pool. Because if you would like to, for example, go through the entire Google Drive folder and process every file separately, that would count count from the available tasks and would simply quickly exhaust this given pool. I'm not going to set up trigger condition for now. So this is pretty much it. That's connected with Google Drive. Now I'm going to set up a connection to Sitecore Content Hub. So I'm going to select action in the application. I have the ability to implement some basic logic, such as if conditions or loops. We'll get there later. So now you can see I have another available connected apps, because right now, as an action, I can select much more Sitecore applications. There's an integration with CDP, with Content Hub 1. I don't have access there, so I can select Content Hub. Again, I can create connection. This is different than with Google. I need to provide some data which is configured in Content Hub. I already have set up one, so I'm going to use this one. Now, this is interesting because for Content Hub, this connector is simply a wrapper to API calls. So there's a REST API on the Content Hub, and what Connect actually does right now is just wrapping the security. So it just adds the security token so it can execute the calls. I can create the call manually or start with a guided setup. Sitecore claims that they are thinking about writing similar way of integrating Content Hub as with Google, where you can select some events, but this is complicated because of the nature of Content Hub and how data is stored within Content Hub. Anyway, there's a guided setup to set up the API call. So I need to select a method. For that, I can reach to the documentation of Content Hub and see how to execute API calls. I have this prepared, so I'll spare you searching through the documentation. Okay, I'm going to select those two. So the path will be API entities. I will be creating a new entity, so hence the post method, and the request body. I will create a product with 3 properties, with name, label, and product number. Plus, I need to specify what type of entity I want to create. So this is the entity definition. So this is the minimal information that I need to send to Content Hub to create a product. Okay, I will send an example request. It will create this product in the Content Hub, but that's fine. It means that this connection is working. Now I need to apply the configuration and just configure the parameters. The guided setup will create a schema for this connection. And here I have the ability to provide some parameters. Not everything is visible. So I need to enable product label. Yep, so now it appears. Okay, now I don't want to send like hard-coded values, so I'm going to use data from previous calls. So from the trigger, I can select file name, for example. For the label, I can use file contents. And yeah, the product number I'll leave alone for now. And that should be it. I can test my recipe. So right now I'm in the testing mode. So you can see the Sitecore Connect is polling my Google Drive for new files. So I'll upload one. I simply upload a text file with some basic content. It should fire the recipe. It says it was successful. So that means I should have now 2 products, one created by the guided setup and the second one created by the recipe execution. So let's see. Okay, you can see this is the one created by the guided setup and the second one created by my recipe execution. Now, if we would like to avoid, maybe we have like many processes that create those products, and for Content Hub, we don't want to go over this custom setup. We can create a recipe that will be used inside other recipes. So let me create a new recipe. But this time, I'm going to use a recipe function. And this will be create product function. Okay, it's a build recipe function. Now you can see the trigger is automatically set as a function call. Now I need to set up an action, but before I do that, I need to set up parameters. So I can create those by adding new fields. I will need product name, product label, and product number. So whenever I call this function, I will be able to provide these three parameters, and then I can use these three parameters in the action. Again, so I'm going to use this to recreate what I did previously. So the post method, path to the API. Okay. But this time I will use the parameters from the function. So product name for the name, product label, and product number. Now I can test this recipe, so when I call it, it should create a product in Content Hub for me. Okay, this was already executed. Since there was no trigger needed, the product should be already available. Okay, it's there, which means the recipe works. Now I need to start it in order to be able to use it in a different function, in a different recipe, sorry. And I'm going to start with another one. This time I will be uploading more products. Again, this will be triggered from an app. This time I want to upload CSV file to my Google Drive and then create products from the CSV. I'm going to remove this one so it's not triggered. It will not trigger my function. And again, choosing Google Drive, new file, existing connection. Okay, that's it. Now for an action, I'm going to use an action called CSV tools that is offered by Workato that will parse the CSV for me. The CSV contents will be file contents from the file that is uploaded to Google Drive. Column delimiter is a comma. There will be headers, and I will use sample CSV to build a schema that will be later used to propagate the parameters into my function. So I'm going to upload my CSV file. Okay, so it contains product name, product label, product number, and based on that, I will generate schema. Okay, this disappears. Now, these are okay. So I'm going to save this. And what parse CSV does is it will parse the file and create a collection of lines. So in order to process a collection, I will need a loop. So I will create repeat action, and input list will be a lines variable from previous step. So in the lines variable, I hope to have each row of my CSV file except obviously column names. Now this is important. Again, from the counting tasks perspective, I will be connecting with Content Hub. So in this case, it's not that much important, but there's a possibility to process items either one by one or send the items, if that's supported by the system, in batches. So this will limit numbers of tasks that will be executed. I will select one at a time, and the clear step output should be no. And now I need to select my action, but I don't want this one. I want to call function instead. So I've got synchronous function, and here I can select the function that I've just created and simply provide a name that comes from the CSV parser, product number. Okay, now I will upload my, okay, that's interesting, no steps. Okay, I will upload the CSV file, which should be processed. And now we can, now this is interesting because the test step allows us to see what every step did. So for parse CSV, I can select what were the lines. So you can see it correctly parsed the lines and detected that there are 3 and created an array with 2 items. And then I can see what were the calls to the function. So I can see what was the input. That's the recipe function ID and the parameters that were provided. So now when I go to my content hub, I should have 2 additional products from my CSV file. Okay, so as you can see, this one was quite easy to connect. I was able to connect 2 systems without writing a single line of code, and it all take, I don't know, 20 minutes, maybe less. There was also, okay, probably I should proceed with the slide. According to Workato, 77% of their customers go live with first integration within a week after creating an account. So that's fast, in my opinion, because in like traditional approach, when we would create a project for this, we probably didn't even set up a kickoff meeting in that time. So creating recipes is easy. Probably when there are more complex business processes or some additional connections that are not supported out of the box, there's about 1,000 connections or products connected. That might require more work, but there's a question whether this will replace like traditional developers, and I think it won't. And there are like 3 reasons. For first, I think that people who work with sales and marketing that could maybe benefit with doing this, they already have their work. They are busy doing sales and doing marketing. So it's much more convenient to hire someone who already knows Sitecore Connect, has some basic understanding of post requests or dealing with some basic logic like functions and if statements to simply create all those recipes. And then again, there's a huge factor of the cost optimization, because it's easy to imagine that a connection which is placed in a large for loop will simply exhaust the pool of available tasks, and there will be additional costs needed that will actually make everything even more expensive. So I think that even if a company will decide to work with Sitecore Connect, that will probably still land on our plate, but it will just make our life easier, which is what I would like to be. Thank you. And if you have any questions, that's the time.